Hey guys, Mike here. So another big week ahead of us. Lots of earnings coming out. We're back in earnings season. Got a little bit of data that's going to hit this week, but not too much. But really, it's going to be the next like 10 to 16 days is going to be very, very interesting because, as I'll show you the seasonality as we get close to the election and even after the election, there's usually, something that takes place, which we'll talk about, plus some charts, of some stocks I have talked about in the past, some I have not talked about in the past that are setting up for good risk reward entries and things like that. It's kind of how I like to look at it. What's in a discount range, things like that. And so I appreciate all you guys and your comments for those who watch Thursdays and Saturdays videos. Again, I read them all, so I appreciate it. But getting into something that's going to be very interesting coming up here over the next couple of weeks is really where we're sitting, right? And it's like what I put in the Friday news brief. And you come down here, you're really sitting here. Obviously, your fear and greed indexes are pretty much in greed or extreme greed. The percentage of stocks in the S&P 500, that's leading the way. Right, the ones above 200 moving average, when you hit 80, normally in this year, that's when you've gotten some form of pullback. As soon as it hit 80, it did pull back a little bit. But, can it run higher? Sure, but you're getting up in those levels. And as we run into election season, this is normally when you start to see the VIX and volatility start to run up and stuff. And so we'll see if that's going to be the case again. So far, really, seasonality really hadn't played out. Obviously, I think I've said that multiple times. But we'll see. A lot of people are suspicious of why the VIX is staying so high when we're sitting here at these all-time highs. And so, we'll see how it plays out. Just be aware of that. But when you look at the S&P again, keep it simple. We've held this channel still above a inclining 5-day moving average. If that channel breaks, 579 is going to be the target to watch right there for a trend shift. That was going to be the case. Again, all-time highs, which we keep setting more and more. I think we set 49 or something this year. 586.07 right there. If we get above that, obviously we're going to go to the midpoint of that channel. I'm not going to say I can't do it because we've set 49 new all-time highs this year so far. Now, QQQ, we put this shaded box on here Thursday night. We expanded it out. We put it on here Tuesday, I believe, but we did expand it out. And it's about a 1% range in each direction. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised if we maintain in this area right here. Again, some big things happen, but that's not going to surprise me a bit. So you can see the top of the range, the bottom of the range, or what I'm actually looking at. If we break above either, obviously, or break below one, then you'll get a bigger move. But looking at IWM, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to take these lines away because we had a huge breakout, right? As Bitcoin has ran, this has ran right with it. I think I showed you guys either in a members video or a public video. That's basically what it's doing. It's running with Bitcoin, running down with Bitcoin. So we'll put this line up here, 227.84 be the next resistance. If we move up there, 224 be your support right there. What's really amazing though, when you look at this just very quietly, really, is it's so close to all-time highs when you actually zoom out on the weekly. This right here is only like 4% away, I believe, from setting all-time new high. And it feels like it's been forever, right? Because all the other indexes have obviously set all-time new highs like crazy. I will put a trend line out here just in case we start to run back down right here, just for the heck of it, because we've seen this before where it'll get this trend going up. It usually comes down, retest. That will be a third touch. So I'll put that in there, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Tesla, of course, reports this week. And you see when it's done, it's held up really well, right on that 100 moving average. Very, very tight range for Tesla, right? Very tight range, 50 right above us. This will depend on how the market accepts the earnings, of course. That's what we're looking for. You're looking at a MACD. It looks like it wants to turn back up. You can tell right there. And so again, if we end up, the market says, hey, we love the earnings, even though Robo-Taxi Day obviously didn't go well because they pushed it way out to 2026, 2027 stuff, then 235, 240 is going to be in the cards for sure. There's no doubt about it. It's held that ascending trend line as well. That's a big thing. So you've held the 100, you've held the ascending trend line after you got just right below it. And so, and obviously if we don't like earnings or the market doesn't like it, then 200, 205 is going to be in the cards, all right? And again, when it has these bullish MACD crosses, as most stocks do, they're going to move up, right? And so again, 235, 240, if we get a bullish MACD cross and the market likes the earnings, 200 is in play. If the market does not like the earnings, especially if it breaks that ascending trend line. And then, of course, we always love the volume profile. I pulled it up here as soon as we dropped after Robo-Taxi, and I said, look at this. That's just the way it is. If you want to simplify it, that's how you simplify it. Where are you going? That's going to show you where your support levels are. You've seen where we held right there, that POC right there. And so we got 10% move down. and then about a 9.7% move up. The market, usually Tesla does about a 10% move on earnings. The market's expecting about 8% this week. Okay, so keep that in mind with Tesla. AMD is another one. I don't know if we're going to make it down this trend line to get that third touch right there, touch and bounce, which also correlates with a nice little area of been support and resistance. So really an area of interest where buyers and sellers have stepped in right here. So that would be nice to come down. That's around like 150, between 150 and 151. And again, that's good because you can get in a discount from the last run up, right? So it'll be past the 0.50, right above the golden pocket right there as well. But do I see it getting down there? In order for that to happen, it's going to have to break the 100, break the 50, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing you're looking at here is the MACD. AMD is one of those stocks, man, you can almost like clock. I mean, when it has a bullish MACD cross, it usually has really nice moves up. And when you come over here and see, it looks like the MACD might try to curl up here. And if it does, right, and you get that bullish MACD cross, you can see on the last several, right? I mean, nice move up, nice move up, nice move up over here, right? And so, again, if that happens, well, then that's all off. We're not coming down to 150, 151. And so the next 2 weeks will be interesting for AMD. Now, Airbnb, which I don't want to talk about, this one's setting up. He's going to have a nice, really big pullback or an explosive move because it's going to come up in this trend line for its fourth touch, 200 moving average, fair value gap there as well. And so if you get a rejection here, don't be surprised if you go like sub 100 on Airbnb. I know that sounds crazy, but again, it could happen. It's obviously in a downtrend, even when other things are coming up. One thing keeping this under pressure, I saw, especially in Florida where I live at, a lot of Airbnb properties are up for sale now. I think people are just losing money on it, and they're selling them. And again, charging a $300 cleaning fee and then expecting me to clean it is still ridiculous to me. But again, if it comes up, it's going to be almost touching that 0.79 fib as well. So it's another thing to look at. That's why I said if it breaks above all this, then you can see an absolutely explosive move up. You can see that's what happened last time, right? It came in the golden pocket and big move down. And remember, this is why the market has been moving up and raging up, and so many stocks are up huge, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. It does have a bullish MACD cross down there, and so we'll see where this one goes. Now, in phase did break out of this little shaded area. It got Tesla'd, which I'll talk about in a minute, as you can tell. But this is what I was talking about. When you saw these pops, how much smaller they were, there wasn't as much momentum to keep pushing them up. And in a way, you can almost say that's a head and shoulders there, but it's an ugly one. But when you look at here, I mean, again, you need this MACD to turn up, you need some momentum. But what happened was, and when this happened, it got a boatload of downgrades. As they started talking about Tesla kind of encroaching in on Enphase, right? And how it might drive the earnings down. And so he said right here, Enphase's share of the market for inverters could shrink if a later version of Tesla's Powerwall, a compact home battery that holds energy generated by solar, is adopted. And so that won't be good for Enphase. Another thing to look at, though, why you could have a huge pop, is what Goldman Sachs just put out the other day about short squeeze, right? And Enphase was number 2 on the list with 10% short interest right now, and they have earnings coming up this week. And so if the market loves their earnings, you can absolutely see a big squeeze. So keep that in mind as well, or obviously a huge dump if they don't like it. But Baidu here, for example, we're talking about Chinese stocks. This one's coming down. I like them in a discount. This hit the 50, the 100 moving average. It was between the golden pocket and a 0.79 fib. I don't think it's going to get to that trend line, honestly, but, and they got the bounce, okay? So this one had obviously gave back a lot of the gains, okay? Other Chinese stocks have not. We talked about K-Web the other day. It bounced on that trend line when we talked about it, okay? And this one somewhat respects its moving averages, somewhat not. But, you got to look at these. It's stock by stock, and they usually do move as a group, which is interesting. And so you can see some of the stocks, for example, like I think it's JD right here. Like it barely moved down, right? It hadn't even hit the 0.5 fib, so it hadn't given back nowhere near the amount of gains that Baidu has given down or given back. And so you're going to have to take these, and the real big area is going to be 34, 35, puts it right at the golden pocket for JD, if that is the case. So we'll see if they continue to move as a group or actually start separating themselves out, which would actually be a lot more healthy. CELG is keeping an eye on this one, as we talked about, and I said, no reason to jump into it unless it gets above like 35 or at least the 50 moving average first. If it does, 100 could be in play right there, around $47. And so that's one to watch out for as well. When you pull up the momentum indicators, you can see, actually, believe it or not, on the daily, the RSI is above the 50, but the MACD is not above the 0 line. This is a momentum stock. That's all this stock is. And so if that MACD starts crossing that 0 line with the RSI heading up, especially above the 50, then you can have a big move. Now, CELG I never talk about, but I just had me in call options, so I'll talk about it. Right, this finally broke out. I don't do, I don't trade commodities. I don't know if you do, but this one I saw a chart, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and buy call options because a good risk reward here, and it ended up breaking out right there. This is a daily chart right here. Now, whether or not we're gonna hold this, that's a whole different story. I think it's like, because you see a lot of commodities breaking out right now, so CELG just happened to be one of them as well. And so when you look at, you see like a cup and handle, and you're seeing this formation a lot on a lot of these stocks right now. And they're breaking up to the upside, coming down, retesting, and on the hourly, it got a test and a bounce right there. We'll see if this is going to hold, because that is a huge move for silver, by the way, an enormous move for silver. So we'll see if that's going to continue to go up or not. A lot of people talk about how Russia's buying silver and some other countries, so it's not retail pushing it up. But we'll see if that's going to end up holding or not. Let me know what you think about that, especially if you're into commodities, because I'm just not really into commodities at all. I just happened to see this chart and was like, I like it, I'm going to play it. And so far it's working out. Now, when you look at earnings right here, you can see Monday, there's a whole bunch of them. I think Nucor probably one that people are going to watch. But the big fun starts on Tuesday. You have Verizon, GM, which chart's setting up pretty nice. 3M as well. Down here, you're going to end up with GE Aerospace. Remember, they broke up their company into 3 different sectors. Then you got Enphase, of course, will be a high flyer, most likely. Texas Instruments. Then we're going to go with Boeing, which is, it's getting a nice bounce off a trend line. AT&T, Coca-Cola. There's GE again. I believe that's their energy network. I could be mistaken. Tesla is going to be the big one, though, to watch out for on Wednesday. IBM's another one. ServiceNow has been making a pretty good move. And then Sands, of course, that's all about gambling. We'll see how. I believe they do have a lot of China exposure. I could be wrong on that one because I don't do the gambling stocks, but I believe they do. And then, of course, Thursday, American Airlines, UPS, Southwest, Transport has been going absolutely nuts. And then I don't see anything really in the afternoon to worry about, nor do I see anything on Friday to really pay much close attention to. And then you're going to have the data, right? So the data is going to be pretty light. Right? Monday, CB leading index. Most people aren't going to care. Tuesday, Richmond Manufacturing Index. Nobody's really going to probably care about that because the manufacturing data has been disastrous. Wednesday, existing home sales, crude oil inventories. Then we get into some fun stuff. Thursday, unemployment claims, flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI, new home sales. And then Friday, looking at core durable goods month over month, and then consumer sentiment. So it'll be a fun week, guys. Let me know how you're playing it. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Feel free to sign up for the membership. Less than a McDonald's combo. There's everything you get with it. And I'll end up seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.